It's the Fresh and Friends podcast, and there's a great show coming right up.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fresh and Friends podcast. Today I'm joined by DarkZero's own KangruKenny, real name Ryan. How are you doing?
Misconception, commonly, but yeah, real name Ryan. I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Come off for back-to-back wins in the first 2 days of Reload, so off to a good start.
Yeah. So it is after day 2 of Reload. You've just finished, obviously, your games today and the draft show. You were the number 1 place team at the end of day 2.
Second. Behind Furia on round difference.
Behind Furia, round difference. But 2 wins out of 2. So I guess let's dig straight into that, actually. Before a round was played, when everyone was back at home, there was a draft that was done online. You ended up picking Fnatic. Do you want to take me through the reasons as to why you picked Fnatic?
Yeah, well...
Because I was surprised, like, being honest, that was, out of all of the picks, that was the one that surprised me the most, because you also, without being disrespectful to them, you had the choice of APAC teams, and you chose Fnatic higher than APAC teams.
Yeah, well, the people who know me, prep is a big part of my game day routine and rituals. A lot of APAC teams made heavy roster changes. Some APAC teams, like FearX, didn't even go to SI, so relevancy in terms of recent footage on teams were going back more than 5 months, and anything more than 3 months in Siege you can't take as facts because the meta shifts so commonly. Fnatic played at Multi-Cyber Series, showed a lot of maps. I know them very well from EU already. I don't think the only APAC team I've ever played internationally is a PSG Talon at SI. I've been to 3 events, so how well I know the teams factored into it. I'll say there were a little bit of like bad blood because of the Azra and Noah like separation.
He was obviously not too keen that they dropped Azra and Noah.
I thought that was crazy. 2 insane players, but if they don't fit, they don't fit. But it was just a multitude of factors, really. Didn't really want to play APAC teams that I didn't have much to go off.
I mean, proof was in the pudding. You ended up beating Fnatic. What did you feel on that game? Like, how did you feel playing against them? How your guys performed? Because obviously you'd made a couple of roster changes coming into this. Big roster changes with obviously Beaulo leaving, Kobe leaving as well. Bringing in Citizen, another UK player into the fold.
Yeah, I think that first game was good. We were against 2 rookies. Even Class Jegs is a rookie. He's never been to an international tournament. Yeah. So internationally, 3 rookies. We knew that they were going to make the mistake, so we just forced them to make the mistakes. Like, we didn't give them anything for free. We banned Dokkaebi, so they had to work for their map control on layer, which is already a big map. Yeah. We forced them to... A weakness of theirs is their drone economy and how well they use their drones. So we just forced them to clear, and we did that. They made the mistakes. There were some rounds where they could have actually made a couple of moves to win the round, but ended up not making them. And the experience showed for us, and that was the main thing. We're bringing on Spirits and Citizen. I saw a tweet that said we've got the most experienced team in all of NA, and now with career longevity total across all 5 players, and every person bar Nath has won an S tier event before. So everyone knows how to win, they have what it takes to win, talent, dedication, and that's why we made the changes.
I was about to say, actually, just so if we take it back a little bit, talk me through the changes. So, I mean, obviously with Beaulo, I think, becoming a dad, retiring, that type of stuff, that one seems fairly obvious as to why he would leave the team. For Kobe, was it just that you needed to change things up after SI?
Kobe is a fantastic player, and we didn't swap out Kobe for any negative reason regarding him. Our plans for this year are DZ wanted to make a shift that they want to be a team that wants to win now. Yeah. We don't want to be winning in 12 months. So we don't want to have to foster talent.
Gotcha.
We want to be an organization where the already experienced people with credentials come to win trophies. Yeah. So unfortunately for Kobe, it's just a direction change for organization. We brought in two players that fit that bill and fit exactly what we needed. We identified our issues post SI. Citizen brings secondary calling to assist Nath. Like at SI, it was all on Nath. It's too much of a burden in the current meta for it to all be primary calling on one person. Yeah. And we've seen massive benefits of Citizen in our first 2 games. He's single-handedly won, I can count on my hand, like 4 or 5 rounds just from his calls, which also enables like less off it takes more off of Nath, so he can focus on his individual performance, Ben calls, and then Spirits is Spirits. You've seen what he's about. He's the X Factor.
With the Spirit stuff, obviously I saw day one against Fnatic, they tried a double shield ban in the first ban. We saw him get straight on the Ying shotgun. Was that premeditated? I presume it was. It's got to be.
Of course. Well, we've been scrimming.
We've been expecting shield bans against him, ban away the Warden, play the Ying. It makes sense, right?
We even given him a warning. We banned the Warden first. You know, some teams like some people might question, okay, why did you ban the Warden first? To like, why wouldn't you hide it and ban the Warden second? So they're not going to ban the Ying or the Glaz. But realistically, for that matchup specifically, we wanted a shield open.
Yeah.
So we wanted to ban the Warden first, so they would ban the Ying or the Glaz, so we have a shield open. It's just all mind games. I love the new ban system. But yeah, it's very much pick your poison with Spirits. Do you want to face the shields? Do you want to face the Ying or the Glaz?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think you certainly are one of the teams that benefits from having like such a strong shield player on your team that, like you say, it's pick your poison. Pick whichever bullshit you want to play against, right? And he's going to be good on either of them. So especially if your team's set up around it. Cool. So that makes sense as to why you brought those players in. You beat Fnatic. You then come up against SSG today. Did you pick them? Did they pick you? It was quite late on in the draw, right?
So wildcard was top seed, we were second seed, Fury were third seed. I think SSG were 7th or 8th. Yeah. And they had the choice of us, Furia, W7M. So they picked us. Makes sense. I don't think SSG have fared very well against Brazilian teams in the past. So it made sense they chose us. We know each other very well. Obviously, both from NA, scrimming at each other. Long rivalry. Yeah. Always going to be a good game.
You went there today. You went onto Consulate?
Yes.
How come? I'll try and dig it out here, mate. Why? Do you think their Consulate shit?
I don't think their Consulate's very good.
Okay.
Manchester Major, ITB, we beat them 7-4. I just don't think they really know how to defend that map very well. They won 1 defense against ITB in Manchester. They won 1 defense today against us. And we kind of predicted the game plan they were going to come with as well, and we kind of hit the nail on the head, and we should have got 5 defenses. We ended up getting 4. We lost a 5v3 on the first round, but the whole game, we just knew what to expect. We knew how to react. The players executed the game plan really well, and that was pretty simple, to be honest. Like, not they were bad. I felt they actually came with a really good game plan. Yeah. They banned Warden themselves. They had Ying and Glaz open. They abused the Ying and the Glaz. But you can't always. I don't know what the saying is, but they're trying to use our own tricks against us. Yeah. We know how to deal with it.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, then. So if we carry on through the reload event, we've just had the draft. So it's end of day 2. We've had the draft for day 3. You were actually technically not drafted because it went all the way to the final draft and you got matched up against W7M. First and foremost, how does it feel to be like, I suppose that means you're considered literally one of the best teams in the tournament because people don't want to play against you because you've not been drafted. So how does that feel?
It's good. I think it's mainly down to Spirit's aura. No one wants to face him. He is a terror man. I think it's obviously an ode to how strong we've looked the past couple of days, but we can't get ahead of ourselves. Mm-hmm. It might just be stylistically teams prefer not to play us, but even though they can match up well against us. Yeah. So we can't get ahead of ourselves. You know, we could crash out. We could lose the next 2 games, bet heavy, and go out, not make main stage, even though we've started off strong. So the format, complicated, is gonna definitely throw the cat amongst the pigeons. But I think the W7M game will be very entertaining tomorrow.
How many bullets did you reload?
4. So we could have bet 8. We currently have 10. So if we win, we'll go to 14. We lose, we'll go to 6.
Why 4? Is it just so that should you lose? Because obviously W7M, Major Champions, good team. There's a possibility you lose. It's certainly not a foregone conclusion. Did you just feel that 6 was a number that will keep you very competitive? Is that why you haven't gone like higher in terms of the bullet count?
I'm not going to say.
You're not going to say? Okay, fine.
All I'll say is I don't think every team has understood the format to its fullest extent.
Gotcha. Okay, that's absolutely fine. We'll stay with that one. Okay, fair enough. In terms of the event, you said it's complicated, the format. Some teams might not understand it. How do you feel about it? Because for me, like, It is complicated, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of moving parts, but I'm finding it very fun, especially the draws and the fact teams are picking each other.
To be fair, I absolutely love it. I think the picking of the teams, the live draws, I think it's good for content. It's good for the scene. It's just nice overall, rather than random draws. Okay, oh that game looks tasty or whatnot. Yeah. The chicken guard does add a little bit of spice in the mix as well. The look on Falcons manager whenever Team Secret used the chicken card against them, he was visibly annoyed.
He was not expecting that as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the format's good. I think the only downside that I see is with it being an invited event, the disparity between the level of teams generally affects the tournament and how the format actually plays out as a whole. Because as we've seen, like, you can kind of farm the APAC teams for free bullets, especially with the extended mag coming into play now after round 3 tomorrow.
Yep.
So, like, say for Cloud9's sake, they lost today, they're low down the bracket. I'm pretty sure they could almost confirm themselves to playoffs if they beat Scars tomorrow. Just purely because they bet all their bullets against Scars. They extended mag, which gives them +6.
They could bet 2.
They'll end up on 15.
+6, so they could go 8. Yeah, they could go to 15.
They could technically, they could make top 8.
Oh, no, they're on 6, so they could go to 14.
Oh, okay, they go to 14. So the lowest amount they could, if they win tomorrow, can be 12. And that's taking into account that they could win another game.
Yeah.
So just like they've won one game and it has that much gravity.
Yeah.
Don't really like that, but it's a standalone event. It's not counting towards their side points. I think for the fun of it, it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I suppose in a way, and I think this is where the teams didn't necessarily like it. For example, for your sake, you're probably now looking at playing pretty high quality teams right throughout, right? You're not gonna get, with the biggest respect to a lot of, I'm just gonna say it, with a lot of the APAC teams, they're not gonna be looking thinking, let's go for DT, right? No. So you're gonna have to be somewhat conservative with how much bullets you put in and how you play that to keep staying at the top with like smaller values than, like you say, a Cloud9 who can go, right, let's reload 6, 8 against somebody like that and then throw the bloody
that's just
extended mag on.
The difficulty of actually being at the top. You're not necessarily rewarded by winning because say if you only bet little amounts at the top, well, all those teams that are betting heavy at the bottom, they're just going to fly above you every time.
Yeah.
And that can cause some complications when winning isn't necessarily rewarded and losing isn't necessarily punished.
Yeah.
In some scenarios, losing is actually better than winning.
I was actually thinking about this today, and I'm sure they workshopped a million different scenarios when they came up with this format. They've not just pulled it out of thin air. But I would have loved, I can't remember the flawless card for 7-0.
Yeah.
If you got 7-0'd, that you lost an extra 2. So teams get eliminated to maybe an extra 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they really got fucked for getting 7-0. That would have been, in my opinion, really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I only thought about it today. I was like, why are we benefiting the teams that get the 7-0 but not punishing the teams that get 7-0'd? But anyway, whatever. A couple of 7-0s today as well. It was brutal.
Yeah, what? PSG and
Scars.
G2 got 7-1.
G2 got 7-1. What's that about? Do you think that's deliberate? That can't be deliberate. Because so the way that we've been speculating on the desk, and again, you don't necessarily need to go into your team specific tactics because this will go out whilst it's still playing. But the way that we assumed it would be on the desk would be some teams would look to just win and kind of be a little bit more conservative, play against maybe weaker opposition, just make sure they get the wins, keep themselves near the top and just keep plodding through. And then we theory crafted that some teams, so BDS are a good example of this, pick a really good fucking team, but put as little in as possible, get the good pick in rounds 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, BDS are definitely a team that I think have understood the concept of losing the first 2 games. Because now they physically can't play FaZe and Fury again until playoffs. And because they're lower down, I think today they pick KAG. So they can go into the KAG game. They've only lost 2 bullets, losing to FaZe and Furia.
Yes.
So they're on 4 bullets. Now they bet 4 bullets. They reload 6. So they can win 10 bullets by beating KAG, which is a a good strategy. And similar thing to PSG Talon as well. Picking M80 yesterday, it was bold, but it was smart because now they got second pick and they got to choose Elevate, who, like, not a discredit to those teams at the bottom, but those are the only teams that they're realistically going to have a chance of beating.
Yeah.
So they put themselves in the chance to pick the weaker teams, so then they can now go all in for game 3. I assume PSG Talon and Elevate have both gone, bet all that we have, bet the extended mag, because we're against one of the weakest teams in the tournament. This is the best chance we have of getting as many bullets as possible.
And Elevate both played the Accelerator. For some reason, PSG only reloaded 2.
Out of the 3.
Out of 3.
Just so they don't get eliminated.
If they lose, don't they lose the extra 6?
Oh wait, they do, don't they? Yeah, they
so
do.
regardless, they might as well have gone for. Why would they not have gone for 3?
I think that's maybe just a misunderstanding.
I think they misunderstood the rules a little bit there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but they can 1v1 to keep themselves in it.
They can 1v1. So this is the big day tomorrow. So just to go through this, Cloud9 have reloaded against Scars, which makes sense. So Cloud9 are playing for the 8 points, as you speculated they might. PSG and Elevate have both reloaded the relevant amount, so 2 for PSG, 3 for Elevate, plus their extended mag of 6. G2 have put 7 on the line against Wildcard and extended mag.
G2 could be going home tomorrow.
G2 could be going home.
They put the house on.
Or conversely, they could be going for 13, 16 points if they win. Well, actually, if they get a 7-0, it'd be 18 points in total. That's what they would finish on.
That is big.
SSG.
Yeah, they've put the house on as well.
They've put the house on as well against FearX. Some teams have gone absolutely massive. Falcons have put 6 against M80.
That one made me chuckle. When I saw Falcons 6, M80 1, I do like the reloading system because it does show you how confident teams are. Like you can, or it's different strategies, right? Like M80 don't want to lose a lot; they want to stay at the top. Falcons are that confident that they don't mind losing. What they have 8 at the moment, or somewhere around there, maybe. Well, they lost the first day actually, so 6 or 7 probably.
Yeah, Falcons are on 7. Yeah.
That's funny. Fury and Secret both gone with the low amounts, like they don't want to lose too much.
You've gone with 4, W7M on 3. I think that's fine. Like a lot of those teams that are, I would say, considered the top 6, 8 teams in this tournament are just kind of, they're having to play each other because of the way the draw's working. Just staying as pretty much conservative as possible, I would say.
Yeah, the SSG FearX one is intriguing. The SSG have gone literally every bullet they have.
Yeah.
And to be fair, to credit to FearX, they have actually looked decent.
Yeah. It's a good team.
They put together the 2
best
parts of 2 separate Korean teams, put them together.
Yeah.
And that Mephi guy on the first day, like 13-0 on defense.
Yeah, he's a good player, is Mephi, actually, to be fair. I think PSG Talon are probably sitting there with seeing FearX being like, fuck's sake. Because, like, there is no other players in Korea now. That is it. And FearX have put a team together that is going to be clearly quite competitive, even if SSG have gone all in.
I'm surprised at the wildcard 3 against G2.
Why is that? Because G2 look so bad?
Just because, I think, well, G2 haven't looked great. Wildcard didn't look awful against Falcons. Like, they were semi-competitive. There were a couple of rounds where they definitely should have won. They lost a 4v2 with a brig clutch on CC. They lost a 5v2 on basement attack with a guy locked in dirt. I don't know how they've lost that, but they win those 2 rounds. The game's now 5-5. They're challenging for overtime or a regulation.
There was a huge pause in that game as well.
Oh, yeah,
that's got to disrupt them more than it disrupts Falcons, I think.
Yeah, well, to be fair, if Falcons that 5v2 loss for wildcard was the round that you just lagged out.
Yeah.
So if they lost that round, actually, Falcons haven't had the best mental in history.
Yeah.
Well, against us was the infamous EFAT crash out.
Yeah. You guys are good at making people crash out.
Yeah. It's a quirk of ours, I guess. But yeah, I actually thought Wildcard would be more confident.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're a team that, I suppose them, FearX, are teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be in the top 10, top 8 at this event that found themselves there through day one results.
Yeah.
So, in a way, I'm not too surprised to see them. In theory, G2 should be beating them on like paper, but G2 have just looked terrible this event so far anyway. Although, you feel like G2 are just going to have a wake-up moment and be fine.
G2 always have that.
Yeah.
At some point, I think Loira being like their talisman throughout SI and SI quals, he was phenomenal for them.
Yeah.
I think he's had quite a quiet event by the standard that he had at SI, so they're kind of lacking on their main firepower. And the only round they won, Alamal stormed in on Ash and got a 4K or an ace or something. So I think that they just need those big players to start stepping up, and they'll be more competitive at least.
Fair enough. All right, so then if we look forward into the event, like obviously, like you said, for DarkZero specifically, you're in a team that now you've kind of got the expectations and the ambitions to be a team that's winning events right now, going deep. You said in the draft show that you want to win a trophy. I suppose if you're going to do that, who are the? It's a very obvious question, but who do you think are your biggest hurdles? Who's the teams that you're going to come up against that are going to be the trickiest opponents in terms of doing that?
I think when the new ban system first came out, we all agreed that Furia were probably going to pioneer the ban system.
Mm-hmm.
The depth of strategy they had before this event and before the new ban system was incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of ways they could play the same map is just absurd. I give props to them every time.
Every single coach and analyst says this, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's not even just that they have I can't remember who it was that was telling me, but they were saying they tack boarded out all of the different strats that Fury had for one particular site, and there was 8, but then with 10 adaptations on every single strat. Yeah. It was crazy, and it's very subtle stuff, but the depth that they played with was crazy.
And it's those subtle win condition changes that they just know the weakest. The weakness of their opponent, and they will just exploit that to the fullest. That's what they did against us at SI. They saw that PSG Talon game, that when PSG Talon bunkered every round against us, they just gave us the entire map and we could not clear out a bunker. They just sat behind utility, we couldn't deal with it. Furia, known for their aggression against us, bunkered every round. Literally sat border, reinforce off triple wall, maestro, just a full bunker in armory.
Yeah,
we lost a round. They're so good at identifying what a team's weakness is and playing every single strat, no matter if they've not played like that during the tournament yet. SI, we hadn't seen them do any of that. So they could just switch up their playstyle so well. They got the players to do it. And I think with the new ban system we saw today, their game on Cafe against BDS, their second ban was Twitch. Yeah. They played Goyo the first 3 rounds, they forced a Goyo ban, then they banned Brava, and they play Maestro and Melusi.
And then they played Maestro, Melusi, Valkyrie. They played Cade from below as well. We actually did it on the broadcast. It was very fucking clever.
Yeah. And just being able to kind of combo those bans is something that's really going to pioneer and might set not a meta for maps, but a meta way of playing the new ban system. And I would say that we've kind of followed on the same sort of train. We've tested a few theories to that concept ourselves. Whether we bring them out or not, we just have to see if it's appropriate against our opponent.
And I'm not going to ask you to again. I understand the need for not spilling all your secrets on a random podcast. But the way that, I suppose the immediately obvious thing that comes to mind is to go, like we said earlier, shields. If you're looking at attackers, it's kind of shields or breachers, right? And the same with defenders is looking at breach deniers or maybe I don't know, execute, just really strong defenders, your Azamis, your Fenrirs, all that type of stuff. But there's certainly synergies that we saw, and especially like you said, from Fury today. Ban the Twitch, play loads of Goyo. They have to now ban Goyo on you, and then because of that, you're now banning the Brava, and then you're just switching it at round 4, and that's still unexplored territory. I think I really, really like it. I don't know, how do you guys feel as coaches and teams? Do you feel that this is a good change, doing the bans this way?
I think it's best change we've had in the game for however long.
Because
absolutely, to be fair, the first week, oh my god, I thought this is terrible. This is absolutely
exactly the same when I first saw it. I was like, this is going to be horrible.
Yep. But I think I think it rewards adaptability, it rewards flexibility, which is a brilliant thing for our game, and is something that's so unique about our game because there's so much depth to it, and now we're adding even more depth that the teams that would play a map one way, well, what if on labs, I think we saw it today in the phase W7M game, Thermite ban, Ace ban, first 2 bans, then a Maverick ban or whatever, like just 3 hard breaches. How do you play the map where walls are so important with no hard breaches? No one's ever played a clubhouse like that before. Maybe when we only had.
I was going to say
Thermite
back in
and
the day when it was
Hibana
Thermite Hibana, get rid of
that was terrible.
We did it once on G2 when I was on
openers.
G2 like 2019. It was horrible.
Yeah, but now we have so much like replacement utility. We have can openers on a lot of operators. There's a lot of replacement operators, so it's really good. And the ban system definitely helps the attackers way more than it helps the defenders, because the attackers have so many replacements. 3 shields. If they ban 2, you still got another one. Hard breaches. Well, if they ban the hard breaches, you still have the can openers. If they ban some execute util, you still have other execute util. But on defense, no warden replacement, no Azami replacement, no what's another one? No, like mute. Mute counters half the stuff in the game. How do you play a game without a mute?
Same with Bandit Cade.
Yeah, Bandit Cade as well. Like you can just play clubhouse where they physically cannot deny the walls in any way.
It makes maps. See, this is why I like it, right? And I see it from a different perspective than you will, because obviously you're looking at the best possible chance of winning. From my perspective on the broadcast, I want the most entertaining product possible. I hated the days of like Oregon, for example, where you'd see basement, kids, offsite, basement, kids, offsite. The same 3 rounds played out 4 times, potentially 5 times if you went to an overtime. Whereas now, you get 3 rounds played out, dynamic changes, 3 rounds played out, complete reset, 3 rounds played out, dynamic changes, another 3. So you can have 4 different rotations and different styles of play in theory in an entire game, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
it makes it more compelling to watch.
Oh, definitely. I think the variety is just through the roof at the moment. But I think some maps will suffer, because some maps there are blatantly just 2 best bans. And you would kind of be silly not to ban those 2 operators. And it's more so looking towards the defensive side, as I spoke about. Like there's not many defensive replacements. So some maps will suffer and some maps will start to just be played out the exact same, because there is objectively one best set of bans. Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. Obviously, that's the thing that pros teams will always do. They will always find the absolute best way of doing it. But the majority of maps have variety. I'd probably only say like 2 maps suffer from monotony in the bans at the moment.
And at some point, you'd expect some kind of balancing changes that might change that up anyway. So it's not a long-term issue. Speaking of balancing changes, obviously we can't go through them in like specific detail, give the numbers, but we've seen, particularly the main one that we've seen, Jaeger now catches Capital bots. How do you feel about that? Because there's one immediate position in my mind, Clubhouse Rafters, that comes to mind, that you can now play. There's a couple of others actually, Chalet, the library in the corner that you can now play. How do you feel about that one?
I think it's a good change, because it gives Jaeger heavily underpicked. We are kind of in a utility dump meta, where defender positions struggle to deal with what's thrown at them, whether it be Grims, Capitals, flashbangs, nades. And Wamai just didn't recharge fast enough. You're against a fast team, you have Wamai, you have 2 discs out. Well, you're doing nothing against that. So it just gives more consistency. Now Jaeger counters every projectile. It's not like he countered everything but Capital. So there was no point running Jaeger if Capital was open. So it's just more consistency. I think it gives a little bit more solidarity in some positions, like you spoke about. Rafters on Clubhouse is a big one. And just means that in, I would say, an attacking side of meta right now, you can look to actually hold down more power positions more effectively.
Fair enough. And then the final thing that I just want to talk about, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, is obviously you are playing W7M tomorrow. I know we've flipped around talking about the game a little bit now. So from the draft show, the show that obviously we had where all the opponents got picked, that happened about an hour and a half ago, not too long ago. What does your night look like as support staff between then and the game when you play tomorrow? What does that timeline period look like?
So I'll go back. I'll look at maps, and because it's a best of one, you can pretty much narrow it down to 3 maps most of the time, sometimes 2 maps depending on map pools that you're going to play. So narrow it down to possible maps. I'll then split up with my analyst. I'll take a couple of maps that I think I'm better suited to doing, and then he'll take the other half, and we'll just knock some stuff out. I think last night I got like halfway through what I wanted to do, went to bed at 1:30, then picked it up when I got up this morning. So just looking at maps, counter prep for certain maps, the certain play style that we want to go through no matter the map we play. So, okay, how does this opponent play? How are we going to play to react? Really just identifying how we want to play as a core against them no matter the map. And then when we get after the map veto occurs, we'll then go into more specifics as a team, because there's no point overloading the players with a lot of, like, say, information for 4 maps when you're only going to end up playing 1. Like, it's too much to retain as a player on a game day. They have other things to worry about, like, okay, nerves or like their warm up. Like, obviously it's an FPS at the end of the day. I want the players to feel confident, feel warm. So kind of easy. I don't leave much to the players. Like, the amount of time that me and analysts will put into work compared to the amount of time that I actually give that information to players is like 10 to 1.
Yeah. And I think people don't necessarily realize this. Obviously, they see you behind the players. They know that scrims happen, and obviously coaching and analyst work seems very obvious in that side of things. But I don't think people necessarily realize how much work will go on with all the support staff here into the night, into the early hours, and then obviously tomorrow morning as well. That's really when you guys actually do your job at these events.
Overnight. It's such like a disheartening thing for a coach, because you'll prep 4 maps and you'll go into detail on every single one, but you're only going to have use for 1. Yeah. So you just have wasted work all the time, and you may have an absolute genius game plan for a certain map, and you can't play it because of best of 1. So yeah, you're constantly in a bit of a disheartening mood that your work is just never gonna come through. But that one map, like today against SSG, the game plan we had and the prep was really good for the guys, and they executed it to perfection. So there's the reward.
Yeah, it's nice when it all comes together and you win, obviously. Yeah, so fair enough. Okay, I think that's where we'll leave it, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you've got to go and do all of your prep now. So is there anything, I guess, final you want to say? I know there'll be a lot of diehard DZ fans watching this as well.
Yeah, just thank you for the support, everyone. We're here to win this year.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on the podcast as well. I do really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone at home watching it and supporting the podcast. The support's been genuinely incredible. So stay tuned for the next